Big Boss. It's Foxhound Woodsball, come to you from Fort Lauderdale, and from my blog page over at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. I'm also repping my friends over at Acid Tactical at acidtactical.com. Can check them out. Naturally, links will be in the description to this video. Now, it's been a while since I've done a video, and I'll say leaving 2018, it's had its ups and downs in a lot of big ways. Some of it good, some of it bad, and quite frankly, I'm hoping to God 2019 is a lot better for me than what 2018 was. Now, moving on to the pied de resistance, you might say, for this video. A lot of guys remember I talked about this to a good extent on one video when I got a bunch of stuff from Modern Combat Sports. This is their quote-unquote small tank pouch. Now, you've seen me put a lot of different shit in this for one reason or another. And Modern Combat Sports, their stuff is pretty good. Yeah, I want to do a compare and contrast. Now, as you see, I got it in Tiger Stripe. It's exotic, but I also got these recently. These are actually made by Specialty Defense Systems, which is a division of Specialty Plastics of Pennsylvania Incorporated, and they're both the same as far as they're manufactured. They're listed as 1-quart canteen / general purpose pouch, one in woodland and one in the U.S. Army UCP, or also called ACU or RPAT. Now, I'm going to be talking about all three of these different patterns as far as their manufacture, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and we're going to compare and contrast. And as a matter of record, I'm not dinging KT and the guys at MCS Paintball over this kind of stuff because they had to do it a certain way due to specs, or it was a specific batch that came into them. However, I will be giving the pros and cons on each one. But first, a word from our friends over at Acid Tactical. You can check them out at acidtactical.com, as I said. And we'll be back right after this. Alright, now we're back, and as you can see, I got all three of these laid out. And as you can tell, this one is the UCP, or Universal Camouflage Pattern, also called Army ACU, RPAT, what have you. This is the Modern Combat Sports version in their Tiger Stripe pattern, and this one is in US M81 Woodland. The MCS one is, well, Modern Combat Sports. These two are made by a defense contractor called Specialty Defense. And this one has it written on here as, focus in on that a little more, it says Specialty Defense Systems, a division of Specialty Plastic Products. Now, all in all, on the outside, these pouches all three of them are quite similar. All three of them are made to very similar specifications as far as their side pockets. Both with Velcro, as you can see. Though there are some very unique differences and similarities, and to break it down, the military versions, you've got more of a generous pull on here, but that's also from how the Velcro is positioned on here. The MCS one is quite similar. If you'll excuse me, I'm using one hand to do all this, so bear with me a little bit on here. As you can see, opening this thing up, there we go. The size of the Velcro is almost exacting, but as I said, with the military one, you've got a little more of a pull on this one than you do the MCS one. But also, I haven't used this one that much, so it's still relatively new. Now, another thing on here that's interesting is the buckles. Now, with the MCS one, open it up, as you can see, the buckle on here is fixed in place, but God forbid if this part or this part ever break on you, all you need is a seam splitter and some stitching skills and probably a sewing machine, and chances are good that you could probably be able to fix this in the field if you had to, or be able to fix this at home if you really needed to. The military ones, on the other hand, this one, the female buckle portion is actually fixed in place here, and as you can see, it's actually a two-sided plastic backing that's connected onto the canteen itself on both of these. That's one difference between the military versions and the MCS versions. As you can see, this plastic one. Now, the other major difference is the backs. Now, flipping over the backs of these, here's where the differences really stand out as far as their M.O.L.L.E placement. This is probably one of my biggest peeves for MCS products as far as the M.O.L.L.E layout on this one. Not dinging them in any way, but it is food for thought. Flipping this open, you can see how the PALS webbing is laddered very close together. Now, I'm not sure if this was intentional or if this is just how it was designed, but flipping the straps to the side on the military versions, you can see not only are the M.O.L.L.E straps about 1 inch apart, which is the standard for GI specifications, but not just for the straps, but also for the PALS webbing on here. Plus, that being said, with this one, there should be a little tag on the inside of this thing somewhere for the MCS one, but I don't see it. But generally speaking, The MCS stuff was made under contract in Pakistan. The Woodland and the UCP ones are made in the US under government contract. Now, we're going to be switching over on some of this stuff. We're going to be showing some how these things compare with each other as far as what they can hold as far as being a canteen / utility pouch. So give me one moment on that one. Okay, now I tucked the flaps in on these pouches as a little bit of a demonstration because the Modern Combat Sports one here in the Tiger Stripe was marketed as a small tank pouch, while the Woodland and the ACU are designated as a 1-quart canteen general purpose pouch. So, semantics aside, because of their general sizing, all three of these should be able to do the same things. Now, with the MCS one, this is marketed as a small tank pouch, and luckily, I've got a 16-ounce tank with CO2 to demonstrate this fact. Pop this in. And a little hard doing it with one hand, so bear with me a little bit on this one. Now, gotta loosen her up a little bit. And almost. Voila! As you can see, holds the 16-ounce tank fairly well. You even got the little bungees on here to tighten this thing up, so that way it reduces the chance of slipping out. Now, this is pretty much what MCS marketed this pouch for, as far as being a air tank pouch. Now, removing it, we're going to try it on the Woodland version first because it's the oldest style here, and as you can see, Woodland locks in place. You could tighten it up, and not exactly completely tight, but you get the general idea that this thing will hold a 16-ounce air tank. Moving over to the ACU one. And as you can see, the 16-ounce will also fit in the ACU pouch as well. So both these things can hold the 16-ounce CO2 tank. As far as other paintball items, we got some interesting ones here. 2 75-round paintball pods. Now, generally speaking, you normally don't use what's made to be a tank pouch to haul pods in, but as a matter of necessity, if this is the kind of thing you can afford at the time, then by all means, roll with it. Get this flap out here for a second. And because this is adjustable, it definitely allows for good flexibility on it. And as you can see, definitely able to hold 2 75-round pods without a problem. Let's go over to the Woodland. Woodland one seems to be a little deeper on the size, so this thing definitely has a bit of a plus to that one. So you can definitely hold 2 regular water bottles in here, but don't have any to test out right now, so Woodland one also holds the pods in here. And now, last but not least, Army ACU. I do think they made the ACU one just a bit smaller by at least a couple milliliters for one reason or another, but I digress. I'm going to try these out. And as a matter of record, if you see how the ACU pouch is a little worn, these were a prior issue, so I'm not sure if they were used in Iraq or Afghanistan, but I digress. Definitely got to loosen this one up a little bit, so bear with me on this one. Aside from having to loosen it, this thing would still be able to fit perfect. And sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to do this in one take. And there we go. These things will definitely fit 275 round pods in here without a problem. Now, for all you mag-fed guys, just to keep things good, I got 4 20 round T68 mags here that I run in my MK7 setup. Now with the MCS pouch, this shouldn't be that big of a problem, but keep in mind, guys, I am doing this with one hand, so bear with me on it. And as you can see, you can actually fit 4 of these in here reasonably well. And I would have to loosen this thing all the way down to get this thing to close, but as you can see, you could theoretically fit 4 of these in here. The Woodland one, as you can see, 3 and 4. And as you can see, perfect. I'd still have to loosen the buckle down significantly to do it, but it can be done. And finally, the ACU one. Now, bear with me, please. As I said, I'm working this one hand, so I'm gonna have to check this back in the editing process to see how bad it's going. But as you can see, okay, I got all 4 of these in here, and same idea, I'd have to loosen the strap on here to get all 4 of them in. Surprisingly, the Woodland one actually seems to be a little deeper than either the Tiger Stripe or the UCP pattern, so that is something to take into consideration. I'm not sure about the desert pattern as of yet, but moving on from that. Yep. With that being said, all 3 of these seem to be meeting all specifications of what a paintball player, a M.O.L.L.E player, a tactical guy really needs to do as far as gear compatibility and what these things are used for. Now, considering that the military ones are designated as 1-quart canteen pouches, I'm actually going to do that right now, and just give me 1 second to prepare that. So give me 1 minute. Okay, we're back, and as you can see, I already put the Canteen and its Canteen cup in the Tiger Stripe small tank pouch because I've experimented with this before, so I know it will fit this very easily. Now, what I'm using is GI issue Canteen cup, which is either aluminum or steel with your classic 1 quart canteen. This one, I'm not sure if you can see that, but this is actually US 88, so this means this was manufactured in 1988. Now, classic kidney beans design, and actually going to fit this into the Woodland one as the test. Now, as I stated, the Woodland one actually seems a little deeper than the Tiger Stripe or the UCP one, and I'm still trying to do this one-handed, so bear with me, guys. It's a little awkward to do, but without surprise, just need to loosen this up a little bit and make sure that the canteen is firmly in here. Got it. And as you can see, it does fit nice and snug. You still got the ability to tighten this up if you have to. And switching over to the ACU one. Now, the reason why I'm doing it like this is, aside from being able to demonstrate how both these fit side by side for certain items, it's also to show the differences between them and what makes them each a good piece of kit, aside from two of them being GI issue, the other one being made for commercial use. Also, there are some players who may be watching this video or following me know that either I'm going for this kind of equipment either because it is unique in the case of the MCS pouch, and the fact that I like military surplus, and I will do anything to show how you can get surplus stuff to work with paintball stuff. So there is that consideration. And let me just, there we go. Ease this thing out, pop this thing back in, and onto the ACU pouch. Now, usually guys would take a pouch like this and put stuff like night vision goggles in here, gloves, small first aid kits, stuff like that, because by the time these kind of pouches were issued as canteen pouches, mainly for training, but in the field, thanks to camelbacks, these things got used for everything else unless you were carrying canteens and a camelback. Now, got this thing in here which fits pretty well and is not going anywhere. Now, that being said, all three of these pouches are more than ideal for any of your tactical needs in the field. So, we got one last thing to show, and this one will definitely be an interesting one as far as being able to modify these things. So give me 1 second on that. Okay, we're back, and if any of you guys have watched my videos for any length of time, you'll know I like M.O.L.E kit. It's some of the most flexible equipment that a player or an operator can ask for. But I'm also a little old school. I like running Alice gear as well. Now, if you know any of the vests I've run over the years, I've always run an M.O.L.E pistol belt with my M.O.L.E rigs. That way it allows me for great flexibility. I could have M.O.L.E gear on the belt as far as canteens, butt packs, mag pouches. On the front of my M.O.L.E vest, I can have other essential items if I need to. I could switch them around, and thanks to these M.O.L.E to M.O.L.E adapters, I'm able to run my M.O.L.E gear on my M.O.L.E rig. But if you guys remember some of my other videos and articles, I have used these M.O.L.E to M.O.L.E adapters for reverse compatibility. Now, this is where things get interesting between your MCS small tank pouch and your GI issue 1 quart general purpose pouch. Now, I like to be able to have some sense of reverse compatibility, either through those dive belt adapters I reviewed a while back, where I could turn an M.O.L.E belt or any belt into a M.O.L.E battle belt. I can do that, but with this, I could actually turn a M.O.L.E platform item into something that's M.O.L.E compatible. But as I move into that, I also forgot to mention a couple little things about both of these type of pouches that I forgot to mention early on in this video. The M.O.L.E backing on here. Now, the MCS one, as I mentioned, is different because the M.O.L.E webbing here is too close together to be able to truly weave it into a M.O.L.E platform to perfection. The military one, it's got generous spacing made to the specifications to allow you to weave it into a M.O.L.E platform very well. The MCS one, I'm not sure if you can notice this, but it's got this hook and loop backing on here. Now, I'm not sure if that's for some of their older vests or for items that have hook and loop systems on here, but with that being said, we'll move on from that. It's something that I could ding MCS on for the lack of appropriate spacing on the back of this and the Velcro, but if you guys saw my other videos and articles, I talked about reverse compatibility, being able to turn an item like this into an M.O.L.E compliant pouch, which I'm going to show with all 3 of these. Now, what you really want to do to make this M.O.L.E compatible is you want to take your M.O.L.E to M.O.L.E adapter, and what you want is you want this side, which is going to be the M.O.L.E side, you want to weave that, you want to keep this facing this side. So, generally speaking, the M.O.L.E side would go onto the M.O.L.E platform, and you just put the M.O.L.E clips in these little dividers here, so that way it secures the pouch. It could be a mag pouch, could be a canteen pouch, or you can put a couple of these in a row, put a butt pack on your flick or whatever, but I digress. Now, making this M.O.L.E compliant with the MCS one is somewhat difficult. Now, just the same as weaving a M.O.L.E pouch onto a M.O.L.E platform, with the MCS one, it makes it a little more difficult because of the spacing of the M.O.L.E webbing. So you're essentially having to weave it in, and it still makes it, can barely get it on here, but this is pretty much the gist of it. You see how it like gets bound up right here? Even though this pouch is very good and serviceable, the M.O.L.E back, the M.O.L.E panels on here, well, I shouldn't say panels, but the webbing on here, for one, it's too close together, and even though that's forgivable, because it can still weave into a M.O.L.E system, the ladder of M.O.L.E, the M.O.L.E webbing, makes it harder to weave into. So, that being said, this one is difficult to work with at times unless you just want to put it on, leave it on, that's it. The GI issue, on the other hand, we'll try the Woodland one first. Now, I see the Woodland one is built to GI specifications. So, with that being said, same principle. We're going to weave the M.O.L.L.E side of the Alice M.O.L.L.E adapter into the PALS webbing of the Canteen pouch. This way, you can actually use the new piece of kit on your Alice belt, and it's actually, the good thing is, this is actually a cost-effective way of having better equipment, more modern equipment on your old school rig without having to blow the extra money on a battle belt that's got the M.O.L.L.E, then you have to measure it for your particular belt size. So, that being said, I'm not sure why DoD hasn't figured this one out, or why some grunts haven't figured this one out yet, but other than that, now, it does look a little bunched up on the Woodland one, but as you can see, it's now done, it's weaved in there good, and this is now Alice compliant. Army ACU one, we're going to do the same thing on that one. Because of the ACU one being made a little differently from the Woodland one, either by a milliliter or maybe its lack of use, this should be able to fit on here almost exactly the same way. As you can see, got in through here. Weaved in. And voila! Also, now Alice compliant. And what you can do with these straps, you could tuck them in, or you could actually put this, wrap this onto the belt at the same time. Use the Alice clips to keep it more secure. But other than that, both these are now Alice compliant. So, anyway, give me a minute, let me get my final thoughts on this one. I'll be right back. Okay, final thoughts. Now, as I said, I'm not dinging MCS on anything major, but as far as their small tank pouch goes, they did a very good job on it, but I would definitely say they need to reconsider the design of their PALS layout on here, because this stuff is way too close together to be able to mount it properly, at least, but it can still be done. So, plus the Velcro on here, I'm not sure why they put the Velcro here, but that's something that should be addressed if they're going to be re-releasing this particular pouch for any reason. As far as an advantage to MCS, I will say that they made their stuff almost identical to U.S. military issue. So, and aside from being close to military issue and camouflage patterns that you normally don't find on the civilian market as far as surplus gear goes, this is what gives MCS an edge over their competition, and Also for paintball too, you don't exactly find tiger stripe camo in that much paintball gear, with the exception of some stuff from Valken, but other than that, MCS pretty much had it good on that pattern. Military surplus stuff, I will say, is very well made. The stuff is durable and will last you for years on end. As far as its reliability, I'll definitely say, for anybody starting out in paintball, anybody who's looking to become a woods player, a tactical player, mag player, surplus stuff is definitely where you can go to start, and also be able to last you for years. Now, you can check out a written version of this over at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. I will post a link in the description to this video. Anyway, this is Big Boss, and I'm out of here.